And so Solomon says, government's better than anarchy, but it's always to some degree corrupt, broken, and frustrating. Okay, so far, Solomon's teaching is submit to the governing authority, even though it's often corrupt and broken. Yes? Now, is that the best we can do? Not quite, not quite. Solomon gives us an encouragement. Number one, that there are inherent limitations to all human authority. There are inherent limitations. If you look in Ecclesiastes 8 and verse 8, he says, no man has power to retain the Spirit, that is, to imprison the Spirit, or power over the day of death. There is no discharge from the war, is what the Hebrew text says there. There's a definite article there, the war, or that war, you might say. Nor will wickedness deliver those who are given to it. So he gives 4 inherent limitations of human authority. Number one, no one can imprison the Spirit. Right? Those who are in earthly power cannot subjugate a person's will, no matter how hard they try. They can influence it, they can affect it, but no one can, there's no prison of the will. All of the best movies that we've ever seen, to some degree, say this, right? Gladiator, Braveheart, anyone? Braveheart, one of the greatest movies of all time. And the idea there is that a person can be placed physically in a box, but that doesn't mean that they are chained in their will, in their mind, in their heart. Yes? So Solomon gives an encouragement there. No matter how much the government oppresses its people, no matter how much you feel, like your will is not imprisoned. No human can do that. That's also a challenge to you. Why? Because it means that you can never blame your responses and your actions to whatever on other people. You can never say to someone else, you made me feel a certain way, think a certain way, respond a certain way. You can't do that. That goes way beyond that principle, way beyond just government stuff. That goes all the way into friendships, churches, families, neighborhoods, right? You can never look at your children and say, you made me. No, you can't do that. Why? Because no one can imprison the will, which the challenge there is that your will is yours. No one has chained you. No one has forced you to think anything. No one has forced you to feel anything. At all times, your will is free from the imprisonment of other people, up to and including the very government itself. And that carries an encouragement, but also a challenge with it. You're free. You have agency. You have decisions to make. How you will think, how you will respond, how you will even respond to your own feelings. And that carries a responsibility to actually make wise, righteous, good, godly decisions with those things. One of the things in our culture, unrelated to political things, is our culture now speaks in the language that lacks personal agency and accountability. So you can see this on people's even internal level. Kelsey and I were talking about this the other day. Sometimes we can fall, even in the church, we can fall into this language where we can start talking about, say, our brain chemistry, and we can differentiate between my body and me. Now, there's some wisdom sometimes in that, where if there's body chemistry stuff going wrong, hormonal issues, to try to address that in the right ways. However, at the same time, if you're getting angry, it's not your body doing something to you. Okay? Your body is you. You are an embodied soul. So whatever's happening, yes, something is happening around you or in you, but also you are choosing how to respond to that. Okay? When something, if I get hit in the head by a ball, this used to happen in youth ministry to me all the time. Kids would just find it funny to just throw a ball right into the side of my face. And man, few things would rile me up than getting hit in the head. How many of you, you hit your head and you're ready to just kill something? Anyone else like that? That's me. Now, so you hit your head and whatever's happening is happening. I don't know. Brain chemistry, bruise, blood flow, whatever. Something's happening and it's just, now I choose something there. I get to choose whether I just punch the nearest person to me or whether I breathe and calm down. Okay, this is so simple. No one can imprison the Spirit. You are not a slave of anything else than your own sin nature. And praise be to God through Christ, by the power of the Spirit, you are even free from that. You are free. No one can imprison your spirit, your will, if you are in Christ. So there's one check on governmental authority. Number two, Solomon says there's no power over the day of death. So no human leader, despite the absolute most authority they could ever possess, that person does not dictate when or how he will die. This should inflict a measure of humility on all of us. I do not have control over the day of death. That is to say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I'll get to the end of this sermon. I don't know that I'll get to the end of the day. I don't know that I'll wake up tomorrow. I don't know. No one controls the day of death. And then Solomon says, number three, death surely comes to all. There is no release from the war, is what the Hebrew text says there in Ecclesiastes chapter, verse 8. There is no discharge from war. The article there, the war that Solomon has in mind is death. No one can escape this fate. So every governmental leader, they are going to face judgment. This is part of the reason why you don't have to inflict it. They are in the hand of God, every single one of them. And every single one, this is how one commentator writes it, I love this. He says, this is one realm where every man must advance, and every man must advance alone to single combat. And every man in succession must fall. There's no one who will ultimately escape judgment. And then Solomon says, wickedness will not deliver a person from death. Nothing humans do, good or ill, will rescue from this fate. The authority of the king and all the power brought to bear by wicked people and wicked governments is bested in the end by death.